Mueller gave his little song and dance yesterday morning, just before we went on the air. And I talked about it briefly yesterday. I didn't really do a deep dive into it because at the time it struck me that, he hadn't said anything that wasn't in the report. And this is where I think the Democratic Party really needs to get their act together in terms of just straightforward messaging. Because Robert Mueller's not going to do it. Right? I mean, maybe if they could get him to testify before Congress, he'll do it or he'll say something. But the whole idea that Robert Mueller is going to stand up there and say, well, Trump might have committed crimes. We found lots of evidence that Trump committed crimes. He's not going to say it that way. He's going to say, we didn't find evidence that Trump didn't commit crimes, double negative, or we couldn't prove that he didn't commit crimes, or, stuff like that. So, which is just like confounding to the average person. So the Democrats need to, given the fact that what Mueller said yesterday and what the Mueller reports say, basically the same thing. Number one, they did find evidence of a criminal cover-up by Trump. In fact, in the Mueller report, he lists 10 specific examples of this. Clear examples, unambiguous, of actual criminal cover-up activities by Donald Trump. Trump was scared to death that the Mueller investigation was going to uncover the fact that he had been lying to the American people, he had been lying to Republicans, he had been lying in the Republican primaries about his ties to Russia and his desire to build a Trump hotel in Moscow. He had been lying about all of that. He had been lying about the affairs that he had with Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. He'd been lying about all that. And he was scared to death that this Mueller investigation was going to uncover his lies. People are going to realize he's just a liar. And he's mostly scared that people are going to figure out that he's not a billionaire, that he's not even worth $100 million. In fact, he may not be worth anything. He might just be living off cash flow, and the properties that he's got, yeah, he's got a bunch of assets, but they're all mortgaged up to the eyeballs. It's like you're living in $1 million house, but you owe $1 million on it. Do you actually have an asset? And how do you pay for that $1 million house? Well, keeping those balls in the air. Well, that's what Trump was doing. The guy is a crook. He's been a crook for 40 years. He's been running what increasingly appears to be not just your garden variety criminal enterprise, but a major, a RICO level criminal enterprise. So Mueller comes along and says, it looks like Trump has committed crimes. Or he says it the other way around. I can't prove that he didn't commit crimes. But if we didn't find evidence, let me rephrase it. If we had found evidence that he didn't commit crimes, we would have said so. Right. So let's just start translating it into English. Mueller has proof that Donald Trump committed crimes, specifically obstruction of justice. And there's a lot of other proof that he's committed a whole lot of other crimes. And the bottom line here is that what Mueller said, what he said yesterday, and this is what I want to get into in some depth after the break, is he said that when Richard Nixon was president, his department, and it was looking, this was, in the neighborhood of Watergate. This is 1973. 74 was when the Watergate impeachment happened. The crime actually happened in 73. And Nixon's Department of Justice said, we cannot indict President Nixon because he's so busy running the country. Now, I think that's crazy. And I think it needs to be challenged before the Supreme Court, or at least any federal court. But it's never been challenged. It's just the opinion of a lawyer in Nixon's Department of Justice that was then echoed again when Bill Clinton was getting ready to be impeached.